And now I give my congratulations to the 2022 NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors, man. 4 NBA titles in 8 seasons, just passed the Chicago Bulls in total franchise championships. This is a real dynasty, you feel me, man? And they did it the Warrior way. And you ask yourself, what is the Warrior way? That is 3-point shooting, elite perimeter defense, being well conditioned. You're going to run your opponent out the gym. You're going to tire him out. And then once you do that, you can switch gears very fast, either at the beginning of the game or in the third quarter, preferably, and just end it in the game right there. Or you can stretch it out. Make it a little exciting, and then ice it with some 3-point runs in the fourth quarter. You know, this team has the ability, one of the very few teams in the history of basketball, to win multiple championships without an elite big man. We talking about the likes of the 90s Bulls, or even to an extent, the late 80s, early 90s Detroit Pistons. They didn't have a dominant big man. I mean, yeah, they had big Rick Mahorn and stretch 4 at the time, Bill Laimbeer, but they didn't really have like a dominant, perennial all-star, bubble superstar center. They didn't have that. So that's the teams you can compare them to in that regard. And you can compare them to a team that really embraced the next man up culture, like a San Antonio Spurs of the late 90s and the late 90s, the 2000s, and the early 2010s. That is this team's competition. They're not competing with, yes, they're literally competing with current teams, but their trajectory is on pace with some of the all-time greats in there, and they're up there. I've seen a record where the last trio to win multiple championships together, before Draymond, Clay, and Steph, was Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan. So they up there. And some people would say even the Spurs were never this dominant. The Spurs never went back to back. The Warriors did in 2017 and 2018. Yes, the Spurs, they had the record for most consecutive 50-win games. The Warriors won 73 after winning 67 and won another 60-plus games the next season. So they got the regular season dominance as well. So I'm not gonna say the Warriors better than the San Antonio Spurs just yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, you can say the Spurs were not consecutively dominant, but you got to look at their competition as well. This is the Western Conference in the 2000s, the hardest Western Conference in NBA history. Western Conference in the 2000s. It was a time where, if you didn't have at least 48 wins, you're not even in the playoffs in the West in the mid 2000s. So we got to consider that. But let's keep going with the Warriors' performance in this finals, man. In Game 6, specifically, they shot 41% from the field, but that doesn't tell how the players played at all. That does not, their field goal percentage does not tell how the players played at all. Nemanja Bjelica, for example, he got a DNP this game, but he had a crucial role when he did play in the series. Now, he averaged a double single. But he did shoot at least 50% from the field. And he shot 50% from the arc. So, I can't fault him on that. Because scoring wasn't his role in this series. Like I told y'all, the Warriors should use Bjelica to guard Tatum. And they did. And it was effective. 34-year-old NBA champion, man. Came into the league from overseas at 27. That's not the typical route to the NBA. 27, that's kind of old. I mean, he right in his prime, but that's kind of old to start, to be a rookie in the NBA. So, congrats to him. And now we move on to the next player. Kevon Looney, who is, without a doubt, an all-time great Warrior player. He had a donut in Game 6 with 7 boards, but his impact was still shown. He's one of the tallest players on the Warriors at 6'9". So when you think about it, he had to guard Robert Williams, Al Horford, Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams, Nikola Jokic, etc. Taking the hardest defensive assignment in the paint, either by size, skill set, or combination. He's a real hard-nosed defender, man. I really didn't pay. Now I'm paying attention since I'm seeing it. Since it's really because on those other teams you had so many other players you had to pay attention to, but now since this team is kind of more like, you know, I'm not gonna say they're bad, but the talent, the talent is more, it's not uber better than everybody else's. Now you get to see the other players, the other pieces that made the championship teams in those days, being Looney one of them. And man, I really, you gotta give this man NBA. Give this man a bonus for playing every single game of the season. We have to do that. You have to give him a bonus for playing every single game of the season. Like, that's, I commend him on that. Not too many players. How many players? I think the stat exactly for this season, if you can count on one hand, how many players played an entire 82 games this season. So that's rare. And y'all know how I feel about rare things, man. They must be appreciated. So I commend him on that. Unfortunately for the Dubs, they might not be able to re-sign Looney because he's definitely getting a bag this summer. So that's unfortunate in the Warriors case. That might be a good thing for Looney either way. Either the Warriors give him the bag he wants, or they wish him well in his future endeavors and let him get a bigger bag somewhere else. I mean, he's a 3-time NBA champion. He's an all-time great Golden State Warrior player. Why not accumulate generational wealth? Why not make that the last thing on your professional bucket list? What else can you say about that? What can you say about Kevon Looney, man? Congrats to him. Next, Gary Payton II. Payton in Game 6 had 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Peyton came back early in the series from a fractured elbow and provided what I thought he would from the very beginning when he got hurt in Memphis. He was going to provide what he was before he left, and that was playing above average perimeter defense, and when needed, getting timely points within the arc, because he's one of the least efficient beyond the arc shooters on the team. So that's why I had to specify that. From the son of an NBA player to the G League to journeyman to champion. Congrats, GP2, or the Mitten, as some people call him, on his championship win, man. He's getting to learn so young. He's getting to learn how to play in a championship system. And people really don't understand how valuable that is, man. Especially in this NBA where you got players coming into the league undeveloped. They game undeveloped. They're not ready. They just now getting into their own as a player in year 4, year 5. Look at Karl Anthony Towns. Look at D'Angelo Russell, who's still a pretty streaky shooter, but he's just now getting into his game. Like, look at another player on this team that we're about to talk about very soon. He's one of the players that took a while for him to develop. And just being on this team at this age for Peyton II, this is going to do wonders for him when he gets older. Who knows? He might be a Warrior for life. I wouldn't be shocked if he is, because the Warriors, again, they love that elite perimeter defense, and it look like he can be an elite perimeter defender just like his pops was. So time will tell on the future of his career with this championship experience he just accumulated. A player like we gotta shout out a player like Otto Porter Jr., who is at times cast off in the league as a journeyman after signing an $100 million contract with the Chicago Bulls a while back, at a time where that was kind of hard to do. Especially for a player like him getting a $100 million contract. I remember Otto Porter signing an $100 million contract. I remember that. And now he's found a home in Golden State and has even embraced his role enough to start in the Dubs' death lineup in the concluding games of this championship series. I think Otto Porter Jr. started game 6 and 7. Not game 6 and 7, games 5 and 6. He definitely started game 6. I remember that. And that is just an example of what buying in gets you, man. Again, we in an era where everybody want to have the glory and not really want to put in the work, man. Everybody want to be a superstar. But you can be a superstar role player. Otto Porter could you imagine saying to yourself, let's say in 2017, 5 years ago, that Otto Porter would be in a championship death lineup for the Golden State Warriors? You couldn't even imagine that. So I just watching all these other players' stories and how they got to this moment, it's a really a good thing to see, man. And that's a great thing for him. Otto Porter, I don't know your contract, man, but you showed that you're willing to sacrifice and you can buy into a championship team. So now teams gonna be looking for you. Now teams gonna be wanting to give you money no matter how old you are. For like a PJ Tucker, who is people trying to give 30 mil a year? Not 30 mil a year, but 3 years, 30 mil, 10 mil a year for an aging PJ Tucker, that can be you. You can get you just secure financial security in the league since you just got a championship. It's different between being a veteran with no championship and a veteran with a championship is what I'm trying to say. So, good luck with that, man. For real. Now, we have Jordan Poole. Now, in this game, in Game 6, Poole came off the bench and he provided 15 points, shooting 5 for 12 from the 3 and 3 from the 3-point line. Now, either as a starter or coming off the bench, Poole was that microwave, that instant offense that the team needed. Either coming off the bench or as a starter. Now, he's 3 years into being a pro. 3 years into being a pro. Poole can say he averaged 18.5 points this regular season. He was a big piece in eliminating the back-to-back league MVP Nikola Jokic with PTSD. He was the second scoring option at times against Memphis. And he stayed focused enough. To close out the Mavs in 6. And he had a bit of his own excuse me. And he had a bit of his own finals moments. NBA finals moments, becoming a champion. So, Mr. Poole Party, the microwave, I salute you, man. Andre Iguodala is the next player we give congratulations to. He was once a finals MVP on this dynastic team. Iguodala was let go in 2019 after his contract was expired. He then had a couple of stints on the Memphis Grizzlies and the Miami Heat. And on the latter, he would learn how to be a veteran and on-court coach from the likes of a Udonis Haslem. Now, if y'all really pay attention to hoops like I do, we saw Udonis Haslem's impact on winning, even if he really didn't play these past couple of years. We saw it in 2020. Udonis Haslem was there. We saw it this year. Udonis Haslem was there, seconds away from an overtime that could potentially lead them to an NBA Finals. 2 NBA Finals in 3 seasons. Andre Iguodala himself competed in the 2020 NBA Bubble Black Lives Matter Mickey Mouse Disney Championship. Do y'all forget? He was on that Miami Heat team. People forget. And Iguodala himself, after winning this championship, thanked the Miami Heat culture for him learning another organization's championship culture and bringing that to the Warriors. That just gave them another layer of championship experience, the Warriors. Playing only 4 games out of the 6 games in this finals, averaging just 4.8 minutes a game, Iggy would provide the mental advantages when his body necessarily couldn't provide it. So in a way, you could say this championship here was his hardest to win because he couldn't really provide on the court. He had to learn how to provide mentally as that veteran, as that on-court coach. So Iguodala, who really don't get his props as an all-time great player, Andre Iguodala is one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time. They love to say one of the other players on this dynastic team is one of the greatest defenders ever and the greatest defender of his generation. He wasn't even in his prime, he wasn't even the best defender on the team. It was Andre Iguodala. People forget about that. Andre Iguodala, in 2015, had a bigger plus minus in 4 out of 6 games than the superstar on the team. He averaged 20 points coming off the bench. He held LeBron James to 30% from the 3-point line and 40% from the field. People forget about this. This is why he won MVP. Andre Iguodala is a tier below Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen when it comes to great perimeter defense. And that 4th ring, man, that's different from 3. That 4th ring is different from 3. Andre Iguodala is a 4-time NBA champion, and he wasn't no bus rider. I guess you could call him a bus. He was a crucial piece. He was a bus rider. He wasn't necessarily the complimentary player, but the number 2 guy. But I'm not gonna say he was like another player on this team that really shouldn't be taking the credit like he should be. But again, we don't know. We don't know if this is going to be like Mark Jackson said in the concluding moments of the finals. We don't know if this is going to be his last time on the court. If it is, man, Andre Iguodala is without a doubt an NBA Hall of Famer. Even before, I mean, if you want to add, his career before Golden State. His career before Golden State, Andre Iguodala Hall of Famer, not really. Then you add his career to Golden State, then him going to the finals in unprecedented circumstances with Miami Heat team, then coming back and winning another championship with Golden State. You gotta put Andre Iguodala. I mean, I don't know. He's definitely a Hall of Fame role player if there ever was one. He's up there. He's up there with all-time role players. All-time role players for sure. And he's better. He's a better role player than another high IQ role player on his team. But we will get to that very soon. Now we move on to Andrew Wiggins, who is another player that bought in, coming from the T-Wolves, getting paid like a franchise player, putting up the same numbers every other year, to averaging 18.3 points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 2.2 boards, plus, wait, did I say boards? 2.2, wait, hold on, what? Oh, I'm sorry, 18.3 blocks, 8.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists, plus 1.5 steals and blocks, as an embraced role player that's shooting better. Now you're an NBA champion, and rightfully so, gonna get paid like a franchise player this offseason, more than likely by the Golden State Warriors, man. Like, I wasn't a big Wiggins. I really wasn't a big Wiggins. I wasn't sold on Wiggins, man. I thought he was one of these entitled prima donna NBA players when he first got, a couple years coming into the league. He was one of the players I was just talking about. Came into the league underdeveloped. Took him like 4 or 5 years to finally get it. Finally be a real contributor to a real contender. But in his case, at least, it's showing that for one, it's showing that he was in the wrong role on his team. And it's the culture. We know Minnesota, no disrespect to Minnesota, they don't have a winning culture. And they really don't. I ain't gonna say they don't know talent, but they have given up a lot of talent to this very team, this very championship team. They have given up or gave up the chance to have a lot of his talent on his team. So that means a lot. And it means even more that he just won a championship in less than 3 years with them. So congratulations, Mr. Wiggins. Now, you were wondering what player I was talking about when I was talking about Andre Iguodala? It's Mr. Draymond Green. It's Mr. Draymond Green. Now, I have a couple of questions for you all. Is Draymond Green overrated? Yes. Is Draymond Green a role player? Yes. Does Draymond Green have a high basketball IQ? Yes. Is Draymond Green a 4-time NBA champion? Yes. Does all of those things make Draymond Green a Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. And you know why? Let's explain why. Like always, Green talks more than he actually produces. I would say it really wasn't into game 4 where his output was somewhat consistent. For his standards at least. For his standards at least, it really wasn't into game 4 when he really locked in. While Green did average a triple single, we love to get him on him about the triple single. I think he averaged like 4 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists off 35% shooting and like 12% from the 3. I think that's the worst 3-point percentage in NBA Finals history. Like, straight booty juice. But I do got to give him credit. I do have to give Green credit for mentally psyching out Boston in Game 5 when he was trying to take that ball from Tatum. He walked him and Gary Payton Jr. Green and Gary Payton Jr. walked Tatum from the opposite side of the court all the way to the bench trying to take the ball from him. And in between that time, none of his teammates helped him. None of his teammates helped Tatum. When I saw that, I literally said, they crumbling. I said, they crumbling. Ain't no way Ime Udoka let the 4th or 5th best player on the opponent's team punk your supposed superstar. Like, if I was Udoka, man, I'm bringing in Neesmith. I'm bringing in Neesmith at the beginning of the next game. First 4 minutes in, he and Green with a strong-ass clothesline and getting ejected. I will pay for that. Shouts out to my man Ticket TV, man. He dropped hella videos on this. We all talked about it. Man. Like, that wasn't the way to go, man. Udoka, you got to do something. This the NBA Finals, man. You got to pull it out some way. When you get it's the little things. It's the little things in the NBA Finals. Something like that. You can't let Draymond Green do that to your star. You can't let him do that. You gotta bring out Robert. Nah, you can't lose Robert Williams at that time. You gotta bring in Neesmith. You gotta bring in somebody that really ain't getting no minutes, bruh. And they gotta chunk that up for the team, man. It's about the championship. That's something he gonna learn. And that's something, fortunately for the Warriors, that's something Green know. And which is, it's those little things that win teams championships. It's those little advantages. Green was doing his best Dennis Rodman impersonation for sure. Because that's what he is. I mean, in my opinion, Draymond Green is a poor man's Rodzilla because he is yet to average at least he is yet to average at least 10 rebounds a game. He only has one Defensive Player of the Year, which he campaigned for, like fucking President Biden campaigned for these damn vaccines. Or he campaigned for that like a politician back in like 2015, 2016, one of those years. He has one less championship than Rodman. And he has much less impact on the defensive end. However, not too many role players have this much success. So I give credit where it's due. Green, congratulations on your 4th championship win. Now, we move on to Klay Thompson. 2 years removed from back-to-back career-threatening injuries, Thompson is once again an NBA champion. Now, we didn't get to see Game 6 Klay, as he put up 12 points. He had a cold shooting night, 5 for 20 from the field, 2 for 8 from the three-point line. But he did have 5 boards and dished out 5 assists. In this series, he averaged 17 points, 1.3 steals, 2 assists, and 3 boards, shooting a not so good 35% from the field, a very good 35% from the three-point line, and a perfect 100% from the free throw line. He was shooting a 35-35-100 split. Now, Thompson, he is the definition. He's already the quintessential 3-and-D player. You talk about 3-and-D player, I think of one person. I think of Klay Thompson. He's already a quintessential 3-and-D player. This is a champion that knows what to do to win. And that's all he needed. And what all he needed to do when the shot wasn't falling was play elite defense. And he played elite. Klay Thompson played some elite defense in those last games. Games 4 through 6. Now, his shot wasn't falling. And it's crazy because coming back from injuries like that, back-to-back injuries, you will understand when a player's shot not falling. But what we expected was the opposite. We expected Thompson's shot to fall, because you never lose that shooting for him, and him to be a bad defender. It was the other way around. His shot wasn't falling, and he was playing great defense. So that was a sight to see. Another sight to see was man, Thompson getting faded at that championship parade. Man, he was lit, bro. That was a good thing to see, man. It's a good thing to see different personalities, celebrate these championships, man. Like, we see how Giannis, very humble, man. I ain't gonna say he's super humble, because every championship player got an ego. Every superstar got an ego. But he got some humility to him. Kawhi Leonard had some humility to him. He had a appreciation for what he did. He not saying, "Oh, look at me." Like another player usually does when he wins. But it was a sight to see see him joyous as he was, elated as he was after winning the championship. We heard constantly about those quote unquote dark days he went through, and this is what it was about, to get back to this stage, to prove that when the three pieces are healthy, they're unbeatable. And so far, that's what it's looking like. And just like that, just like with that championship win, Klay Thompson right back to the trash talking, setting out Jaren Jackson Jr. calling him a straight bum. Now them, that's shout out to my boy Sino for bringing up this point. Now that the Warriors champions, if I was the Memphis Grizzlies, I would kind of get my mind focused off the Warriors, because y'all don't want to end up like a Reggie Miller in the 1990s, so focused on Michael Jordan that you forget about what's in front of you and you don't even get there. You better keep focused. You better keep focused, as these is champions y'all messing with. Klay Thompson, he was a little skeptical on his confidence because of his production, but that championship and that will to win, that way to find some way to win, even when that shot not falling, they go a long way, and that's why he calls y'all a bum. Y'all know y'all not bums. I say John Morant and Jaren Jackson, they can probably provide more than Klay Thompson can, just as physically. We just talking about physically, but mentally and physically, Klay Thompson, he's on a whole different level. That's why he called them bums. I'm pretty sure he knows that. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say on Klay Thompson, man. Before this championship win, I had Klay Thompson as my 10th greatest shooting guard of all time, behind Ray Allen. Now, I think it's safe to say that Klay Thompson is a better shooting guard than Ray Allen, man. I already did, but because I already did have him, I already had Thompson as like the modern day Sam Jones, but I couldn't put him past Ray Allen yet, because he really didn't have that solo run like Allen did in the mid 2000s. But a run like this where he's not an all-star, and where he's just coming back in the middle of the season off injury, you just plop him right in and they win a championship. I gotta say that's worthy of surpassing him. I gotta say, Klay Thompson, you are the quintessential 3-and-D player. That is your legacy amongst shooting guards. You're the 9th greatest shooting guard of all time, the modern day Sam Jones. Sam Jones has 10 championships. Klay Thompson has 4 championships. Arguably the most important piece on the team, if you really want to go there. Game 6 Klay, where do you think the name came from? Congrats, Thompson, man. I'm glad you're back. Now, the final superstar, the final player, the final superstar, again, we give credit to, is the first time Finals MVP, the chef, Stephen Curry, who lullabied a lot of narratives in this series, a lot of narratives in this playoff run. He couldn't win without a stacked deck. No KD, no more finals. He can't dominate in a finals, which he already really has had pretty decent finals, but he can't dominate in a finals. He can't dominate. How about these series averages for you? 31.2 points per game. Not too many players have averaged 30 points in the finals in a winning effort. Let me say that again. LeBron James. Not too many players have done that. 31.2 points per game off 48% from the field, 43% from the free throw line. From the 3-point line, and 85% from the free throw line. That 48, 43, 85 shooting split is historically the greatest shooting performance in finals history. So take that for not dominant. And he also averaged in this series 6 rebounds, above average, especially for a point guard his size. That's above average. And 5 assists. That's pretty standard for a point guard, 5 assists and 2 steals. a lot of people gave at least Curry a hard time for not being an elite defender, but forgetting his unanimous MVP campaign. He averaged 2 steals, and he played above average defense in this whole playoff run. I can go back to that clutch layup where he kind of deflected it from Ja Morant back in the second round. I can go back to that. So many other defensive highlights for him as well. But this finals run, it's hard, man. It's hard. In the last five championship runs, the most dominant final. This has got to be the second most dominant finals run I've seen since Giannis last year. Giannis last year and Curry this year have been the most dominant finals runs I've seen in the past 5 years. Outside of that, I probably got to go with it. At 3, I got to go with Kawhi Leonard in 2019. And 4, I got to go with KD in 2017. Why? Because he was on a super team. He was on a super team. I'm sorry. It matters. And lastly, Bron in the bubble. He can average a triple-double. It was in the bubble. It's the LeBron James system. What do you expect? But from the very beginning of this finals, man, I saw how focused Curry was. I saw from the very beginning in game 1 where he put up a career high in first quarter points. I think he put up like 26 points, 6 for 8 from the 3 in the first quarter. He went scoreless in the second quarter, which that wasn't good for him. They ended up losing that game, but that was a great game from Curry. He didn't play well game 2, which they lost. He played solid in game 3. I think he had, I don't know how many points. I don't remember game 3 that well, actually. I do remember game 4. He dropped that 40-point double-double. I remember that. That 40-point double-double, man. That was a great game. That's probably Steph Curry's greatest game, bro. He was Curry, like, I told y'all know my history with the Warriors. I'm not that well. I'm not a Warrior fan like that. I don't follow the Warriors like that. I usually only got to them when they was in the finals, you know. Cause I was going for the Cavs when it was the Cavs. At least the first 2 times. Because I wasn't going for nobody the other 2 times. That shit was so predictable, and it was the weakest finals I've ever seen. The first one, it should have been something, but, you know, another team's leader quit even when it was really an even. But I guess when it's even, you can't even play hard enough. And the one in 2018, that one was trash. But I digressed. I kind of lost track where I was going on that. But, yeah. Game 4. He had a great showing. Great showing in game 4. All-time great performance. Probably his greatest finals performance. Game 5, I think he dropped another 30 points. And then in game 6, of course, dropping, I think it was 34 points or so in the last game. I think he dropped 34 points and something like that. Y'all saw the last game, man. Y'all saw how Curry was playing, man. That's the most dominant Curry, what I was finna say was, Curry, his scoring ability is so different. Like, I ain't never seen nobody dominate like that. Like, I've never seen nobody dominate like that. I'm not even a Warriors guy like that. I was going for the Cavs the first couple of years. Then after that, I stopped paying attention to the Warriors until they faced the Raptors in 2019 with one of my favorite players, Kawhi Leonard. Then I'm really starting to respect Steph Curry, man. Like, I already knew that he was a great player, but I kind of respect him, bro, because this dude's a killer. He's a killer for real. He's a killer. He got that He got that killer mentality. I heard this being said all during the post-game shows and interviews, and I completely agree. Curry did not need Finals MVP to be an all-time great player. But no matter what he say, we got the 4th championship. He did know how important it would be for him to win that award. He knew how important it would be on his legacy to say, I dominated in the NBA Finals. Specifically, I averaged 30 points in the NBA Finals, which is not easy. Not too many people have averaged 30 points in the NBA Finals. LeBron James has not averaged 30 points in a winning effort in the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. It don't matter. Accolades don't mean that much. Magic Johnson, a Mount Rushmore player, has 5 rings and 3 Finals MVPs. Larry Bird, a top 5 player, has 3 rings and 2 Finals MVPs. Tim Duncan, the 6th greatest player of all time, the greatest power forward of all time, top 10 player. Also, like Magic, had 5 championships and only 3 Finals MVPs. Players like them and Curry is officially the Tim Duncan of point guards. What I mean by that is he can win with multiple iterations of a team. Multiple iterations of a team over a span of years. They show that awards don't make or break you. It's how it's obtained, unlike other all-time great players where they have to win that award to quote-unquote prove their greatness. Curry surpassed a lot of players in this championship run, in this playoff run. I'm going to go into detail a little bit, but I'm going to make further videos on this offseason. Steph Curry's a top 15 player in my opinion. Steph Curry just became officially the 3rd greatest point guard in my opinion, surpassing Isaiah Lord Thomas III. Isaiah Lord Thomas III is no longer a top 15 player in my opinion. He's a top 20 player. Steph Curry is the greatest player of this generation. He is the Michael Jordan of this generation from the perspective of not only his accomplishments and team dominance, but the perspective of his influence on a court, meaning players of future generations are going to play like him and are not going to be as good. Allen Iverson, Kobe, Ray Allen, Tracy McGrady. Look at this, Trae Young. We already seen one of them. And Trae Young said his most inspiration is Steve Nash. And Steve Nash, that's one of Steph Curry's inspirations. Trae Young's best ability is passing, but you already got one of them. He's top 15. I got him number 12. We're going to go further into detail with that in a later video. But Curry, again, top 3-point guard of all time. Greatest 3-point shooter in the history of the game. You could arguably say he's the greatest shooter of all time. I'm not sold on that. I would probably give it to Larry Bird because of his size and that he can shoot on every shooting. Is just not 3-point shooting. It's everything, every area on the court, mid-range, post up, 3 points in the paint, all that. So I would still have to give greatest shooter of all time to Larry Bird. He is Tim Duncan of point guards, the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. He revolutionized the point guard position being scoring point guards, primary scoring point guards, combo guards as you call them, because he was stuck between the 1 and 2 early years in his career. Now he's a hybrid. He's a combo guard. He made that relevant. He revolutionized the point guard position in that perspective. He's one of the greatest shooting. He's one of the greatest scoring guards of all time, probably behind like a Michael Jordan and an Oscar Robertson. I'm not even gonna fake it. Curry up there with amongst scoring guards. I'ma even put him. I'ma elaborate on this eventually. I'ma even put him past Kobe when it comes to scoring guards. Like, we gonna elaborate. Trust me, we got a lot coming this offseason, man. I just had to get through this for continuity's sake. Curry passed a lot of people, man. And since he passed Lord Thomas III, Isaiah, we can say that Curry is possibly the greatest little man of all time. Curry's just 6'3". Is Curry Is Curry the greatest little man of all time? Let me know in the comments. Is he? Y'all still think that title belonged to Isaiah Thomas, even if Curry just passed him all time? Let me know in the comments below, man. I gotta let me know. Among when it comes to all the superstars in the league, the 5, the Giannis's, the Kawhis, the KDs, the LeBrons, Curry is the best superstar right now. He's the best superstar. He's the number one. He's the best player in the league right now. I'm going to give my top 10 current players in another video as well. But that's all I got to say. It's no more slander can be made. He is solidified. 4 championships. Finals MVP. What else can be said? They're going to be the favorites next year. They're confident again. The Warriors confident again. The Warriors are confident again. They got that championship swag. I'm saying my finals prediction right now. If it ain't the Warriors, who I'm going just off historical precedent, I got to respect that. Then I got to go from my fan perspective, because I'm a fan of teams. If it ain't the Warriors, it's the Clippers or the Suns. My finals is the Bucks coming out the East, period. It's the Bucks coming out the East, period. Against either the Warriors, Clippers, or Suns. What y'all think about that? Y'all let me know, man. Congratulations to the 2022 Golden State Warriors on the championship win, man. Great run. Great to see it. Dynastic team for sure. Now, that's all I got for y'all, man. Let me know what y'all think, man. Smash that like button. Comment at the beginning, middle, and ending of the video, man. Share it for others to see. Of course, subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop. If there's a particular topic you want me to speak on, hit that pinned link in the comment section below and donate to the Regg, man. And